Hi, this is Jason Watt of Business Career College, and we're going to take the next few minutes to go over what you would expect in a typical webinar run by Business Career College. As you're probably aware, we offer webinars in support of a variety of programs, including the Life License Qualification Program, the Other Than Life program for general insurance licensing in Ontario, the General Insurance License in Alberta, the Certified Financial Planner, which is a trademark of the Financial Planning Standards Council designation courses, and the Chartered Life Underwriter as well. And there are a few other odds and ends, but those are the main ones that most people would be joining us to conduct webinar training for. So you'll be able to join a webinar from pretty much anywhere. You don't need a great internet connection, although you do need a reliable internet connection. It doesn't have to be exceptionally fast, and certainly we've had people run an entire 3-day webinar over nothing but their iPhone or iPad. If you're going to do that, I suggest downloading the WebEx app for the appropriate device. That's WebEx application. So prior to joining the webinar, you should get an invite in your email with a few useful details in it. The webinar you'll receive should look something like this. You'll see a link that you'll click on to join the meeting, and it typically takes about 2 minutes to actually make the link work. It'll just take a few minutes to load, and you may have to allow your computer to download a few little bits of software, to download ActiveX controls, for example. Keep an eye for a yellow bar across the top of the screen, and just allow as the computer asks you for permission. And once you've gone through that process, then you should come into the webinar. And that's where you'll see something like this. You'll see some text or possibly just an introductory screen like so. You may see an agenda on the screen. It depends on what meeting you're joining and who's running the meeting. You'll see the name of the host over on the right side and the list of the participants in these spaces below. If you can hear this right now, and you're using the same computer or the same piece of hardware that you'll be using to participate in the meeting, then you have all that you need to get by. There's no video camera required. In fact, most of the instructors will disable cameras. There's no requirement to have a microphone, although it can help depending on how you want to participate in the meeting. You only have to be able to hear what's being said and see what's on the screen. If you can read the black text that I've written on the screen, you should not have a problem. That's exactly what a typical webinar will look like. You'll have a couple different ways to participate in the meeting. You may be able to participate by voice, although not all the instructors encourage participation by voice. Some would limit the level of participation to chat using this text box you'll see in the bottom right corner of the screen. So you can chat using this box, and then when you hit enter, that message will send. It's very similar to MSN Messenger if you've ever used that service, and very straightforward, and everybody can see. You can note here that it says I'm sending this message to everyone. So it's a very good way to ask questions, and it does create a degree of participation amongst the students. For most of our classes, but not all of our classes, we will run an introductory webinar about 48 hours before the actual class, and that just gives you an opportunity to try out your hardware or to try out your connection or whatever it is you want to make sure of. It's a very good idea to do so. And regardless of whether you participate in that introductory session or not, I always ask that students try to come on a call about 15 minutes before the scheduled start time. And please do be aware of the start times. The sessions are run for people right across the country, and sometimes the time zones do get a little bit confusing. So make sure you understand when a session is going to start and end in your particular time zone. And on that note, you won't always find that the lunch breaks or whatever type of breaks there are will correspond nicely to your particular schedule. Most of our instructors are located in Alberta, and most of the sessions will run, give or take, on an Alberta schedule. Now, we do record the sessions, and most of the instructors will take screenshots of their notes. So you'll have the opportunity to access those recordings and screenshots, and I will show you how to access those. So this is the Business Career College website, www.moodle.businesscareercollege.com. You'll have an account set up here for you once you enroll in one of our courses. Once you're in here, just from the home page, that is once you're logged in, you'll see a list of courses. Your list of courses probably won't be quite this long, but within this list of courses somewhere, you'll see the information for the particular session in which you are participating. So we have here LLQP webinar info, and it tells us storage for screenshots, handouts, etc. from the LLQP webinar. So we can bring that up, and within this class you'll see a few different odds and ends, but probably most important, I recently ran this webinar myself, December 6, 7, and 8, and this webinar, then we have the recordings from each day, so the day 1 recording, the day 2 recording, and the day 3 recording, as well as the screenshots in an accessible PDF format that you can then watch in order to, or that you can then review in order to have the notes readily accessible that the instructor would have gone through. If you miss a few minutes or you want to review a certain section, then it's quite available. And I do encourage students generally to take their own notes, but if you want to just follow along and listen, you'll have access in this format to the notes. These are my notes from the first day of an LLQP webinar. Very straightforward, and you can see this is exactly what I would have written on the screen. One more thing I would encourage you to do is to bring a basic calculator with you. You don't need anything fancy for most classes. If you do need anything extraordinary in terms of a calculator, we'd certainly let you know in advance. But bring a basic calculator with you. Most of the instructors will go through some mathematical equations, and they will expect students to follow along with them. That should be everything that you need to know, and that should prepare you well for the LLQP webinar. I hope you find this helpful, and I hope that you enjoy your webinar experience. Thank you very kindly. Have a wonderful day.